It's the decision none of us want to make, but we know we must make. Mary Butler, a loving wife, a great mother of 2 young children, a vibrant person who brightened any room she entered, was in a coma. Her minivan had been hit head-on by a drunk driver speeding at the top of a hill in the wrong lane. Mary's condition had stabilized since the worst days after the accident. Moved from intensive care to a long-term care facility, modern medical science ensured that Mary would live. However, she remained in a vegetated state. Aided by medications and machines, the vegetated state was Mary's state of affairs for years to come. In those years, Mary's children went from toddlers to preteen to teenagers to young adults. During that time, Abby and Zach settled into a routine of school, extracurricular activities, and regular visits with their father, Dan, to Mary's bedside. Dan was a constant figure at the long-term care facility. With the children out of the house, he would visit Mary before work and after work. Not even the COVID-19 lockdown would keep him from looking into Mary's room, watching his bride of 40 years and nearly half of it spent in a marriage where she was in a vegetated state. Science kept Mary alive, but it did not do the same for Dan. A few weeks away from his 52nd birthday, while working out, he suffered a massive heart attack. In grief, Abby and Zach tried to pick up the slack, visiting more with their mother. However, with young children, demanding jobs, and their own marriages, it was difficult. Weeks would go by without a visit, but Mary was still there. Noticing the strain on the family, the medical staff, social workers, and chaplains came to Abby and Zach with the decision none of us want to make, but we know we must make. It'd been a year and a half since Dan's death, and for almost 20 years, Mary's condition had not changed. Was it science with medication and machines that was keeping her alive? Or was it God's divine will? The meeting with Abby and Zach was not intended to pressure them into making a decision. Rather, it was intended to face the realities of God-given life and the facts of man-made science. They agreed to discuss the matter again in a month. In the meantime, Abby and Zach, who were not active churchgoers, were encouraged to meet with Marie Dobbs, the young ordained chaplain who was assigned to the case. During the month, Abby and Zach made more frequent visits to see Mary and to speak with Marie. They discussed the intersection of science and faith. They pondered which decision is more ethical, keeping Mary connected to medicines and machines, which they believe have maintained her life for 20 years, or withdrawing these measures that could lead to the real possibility of her death. The month had passed, and the second meeting had been scheduled. Struggling with the possibilities, Abby and Zach had not come to a decision, but fate made the decision for them. In the early morning hours of April 8th, 2024, Mary Butler died. She was 50 years old. Was it science or God's grace that kept Mary alive all those years? We don't know. However, what we know is this. The Reverend Maria Dobbs, the young chaplain who was asked to do Mary's eulogy. This was the first time she had been ever asked to do such an important task. She ended up using AI to generate the eulogy. the intersection of science and faith continues.